This is Classic FM.
Evening all, Classic FM Live. We're in the bowels of the Royal Albert Hall and meeting the rather lovely Howard Goodall. Howard, thanks for sparing us the time.
Not at all, Tim.
Now, I want to talk premieres with you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because it's different for you. Well, I presume it's different for you. No one else in the room knows how a piece should sound other than you in this instance.
This is
right?
true. It's quite scary. It's quite exciting, but it is quite scary because you don't know what anybody's reaction is going to be. And the history of music is littered with quite a variable list of what happened at famous first premieres. The premiere of the Enigma Variations, for example, was a famously disastrous one, and we've come to know and love that piece. And so you never quite know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to go down. People might love it or they might hate it. So that's the first bit of nerves. The second bit of nerves is that often when, as a composer, you have nothing to do. Right. You literally stand there, a ball of nerves, and all your energy is going nowhere. So you're like a power plant creating energy. And you can't convert that like a performer can into playing more vigorously or singing with more passion. You just stand there nervously. In this instance, I'm actually conducting, so I've got something to do with my energy. But it can be for composers who are not performing or conducting quite a tense and difficult physical relationship with themselves. I know quite a lot of people who write musicals like I do, Broadway and West End style musicals, won't go to the first night because they're too scared. They'll sit in the bar or go out for a meal or something, because the tension of the first performance in front of an audience with the judging public and the judging press for those kind of shows is very, very great.
And am I right in thinking as well, this is no ordinary premiere either, in that the way you've composed the piece is not your ordinary sort of birth of a piece?
It's not. I was asked to write a piece by Classic FM for Cancer Research UK, a piece that would reflect the work that they do, the scientists, the researchers, and I went and did a sort of journey round and met the people who do the work, who actually, you know, make the experiments and make the new drugs, etc., but also the survivors and their supporters, the people who run the charity shops, etc. And I did this kind of odyssey, and that was what the piece was about. The piece is really about those people. It's really dedicated to those researchers and scientists and survivors and their families and friends and all those people who fight that fight, you know, and are doing so with ever more success.
Wow, I can't wait to hear it. And it's entitled, I must check, More Tomorrows, an Anthem for Orchestra.
That's right, More Tomorrows. So you can hum along, even though there's no choir singing.
Now, I want to, if you don't mind, I noticed your tweet, I think it was either today or yesterday, saying performance of your musical, The Hired Man.
Yes.
Particularly inspirational. Well, now, did things all just suddenly gel or something?
Well, I don't know. The piece is nearly 30 years old. It's 30 years old next year. I wrote it when I was a very young man. And it's been on all over the place, all over the world, in fact, and many productions here in the UK. And this particular production, which I saw last night in Leicester, which started in Colchester and then moved to Leicester, the Leicester Curve Theatre, is a particularly, I would say, revelatory, because when you've written a piece, you sort of think you know everything about it and you know what's going to happen with the characters and the music, and every so often someone comes along, a director and a company, who shed new light on your piece. Often this happens to composers long after they've died. Someone does a new interpretation of a piece that's been around for a while and they give real fresh insight to it. And sometimes you're lucky enough to be a living composer and you go and hear this process happening. And to hear your piece, which is a 30-year-old piece, really reinvented and found, you know, freshly with an audience, it was absolutely fantastic. And to be fair, I've seen this musical many hundreds of times. And nowadays, and my wife said to me as we were going in, trouble with The Hired Man is that I've seen it so many times, it never makes me cry anymore, because it used to when we first started. So how wrong was she? Because she, along with the whole audience, were just blabbing, including me, made me cry. It was so moving and so beautifully done. So it's quite an unusual thing when that happens. Yeah. And as I say, with pieces I know really well, you're not really expecting that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really intrigued now. I want to get to Leicester. I want to talk about, well, I want to talk about so many things, but they'll shoot me if I overrun. And you've got to conduct something tonight. But I know you compose over summer very often, and you store up and you get things out. Is there things building? Do you know what you're going to be?
Well, I'm writing a big piece at the moment. I say big in the sense that it's a West End style musical on a very big scale, based on a very famous story. And because of that, it's big, not in the sense that it's very long, like Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, but it's big in the sense that the stakes are very high with these pieces. And I've got to make sure every one of my 18 songs, or whatever it is we're going to end up with, is absolutely on the nose, and that each song is absolutely fantastic, does its job in the piece, and that people get to know it and they love the tunes, and that it does the work for the characters. And all that is a big deal in the world of big-scale musicals. I mean, a lot of the musicals I've written have been rather small scale, whereas this is a big-scale musical. Wow. So the risk is high, and we really want it to be a big success, obviously. And people who watch the TV series Smash will know what it's all about. You work and work and work, and you revise and revise and revise, and you rewrite songs and you try them. And we've already done one workshop with a cast of 18, where we worked for 10 days in a rehearsal room and put Act 1 through its paces, and they learned it, and we tried it out, tried the characters. And as a result of that, we're now making changes to Act 1, and now we're about to start Act 2. So writing a musical of this scale is kind of a 2-year job. Right. And I'm 1 year into it. Wow. So I'm really enjoying it, but it's a big roll up your sleeves type of a job. And you mentioned France. We have a house in France, and we go there if I've got a commission to do, an orchestral piece or a big choral work, because it's all kept in my head, the whole piece while I'm working on it. I do need to be somewhere that's quite quiet and non-distracting. So we have this place in deepest rural France where, you know, the phone doesn't ring very much, and there isn't exactly the number 22 bus going past my window. So we do that in order so that those big pieces can be gestated, I think is the word, in my head, and they can come out fully formed at the end of that summer period. So that's a sort of annual thing we do as a family. And
I shouldn't ask this, it's very rude of me, but do composers, do you particularly, bottom drawer pieces? I mean, Mozart had things that he thought, haven't used this? Well, or is everything always just for that work?
My wife often says to me, why, you know, those lovely tunes you wrote all those years ago for that show that never happened, why don't you reuse them? And my answer always is, when I've run out of new tunes, I will definitely reuse them. Right. So there's a big drawer there. But while I can still think of new ones, that's what I want to be doing, because at some point it probably will dry up, so I'll keep them for that day, for that rainy day.
I think that's the note to end on. So Howard, all the best for tonight.
Thank you very much, Tim.